What is up, everybody? Today is Monday, February 1st. This is episode 10 of a Humanistic Perspective podcast.
Number 10, baby.
Here we go. What a blessing it will be today. Today we're going to dive into a few different topics. It's been quite a busy week, but if you have a chance, go ahead and check out our social medias. My Instagram's ethan.castilla. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, as well as check out a Humanistic Perspective podcast on Instagram and Facebook and all of your major streaming platforms.
Yeah, we're going to be posting some really exciting new content over there. And
especially a 10-episode video montage that is in the works.
Oh, yes, down the road later. But, let's jump on in here and let's get going with our coffee of the day. Jake, you want to maybe give me a little origin on how we got this one?
Well, I saw that this coffee was in one of my favorite cafes that I go to for my job.
What's the name of the cafe?
4th Street Cafe. It's in Peru, Illinois. And they had a version of a coffee there that's from this company. And in case you guys... For people that are in Illinois, I'm sure you know Starved Rock. It's it's a state park, right? It's a state park that is on the Illinois River outside of Ottawa and Oglesby and Utica. It's an incredible feat to see. And there's a coffee company named Starved Rock Company, and they have
a lot of different stuff. Starved Rock in general, they do like woodworking. I mean, They do a lot. Yeah, it's just like a brand of it. You know, the shop they have there in Starved Rock. There's a whole brand behind that as well.
Oh, that makes sense. I wonder if these two are tied.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they are in a sense.
This is
in a way,
in Utica.
Or it's a company that was from there. But
Isn't the town called that?
Well,
No,
Utica is
it's in
the
Ottawa.
gateway
No,
to Starved Rock. That's like the motto for Starved Rock.
Really?
There is a brand. I don't know if it has relatance to it.
But don't you tell me about your drive? Don't you like driving through Starved Rock? Isn't there?
Oh, it's incredible.
One morning, I was actually taking over. This was a while ago when Johnny first came here. I was helping his patients out one morning, and I was zipping around them curves, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize. It was cool. It's beautiful in the morning.
It is beautiful.
It is.
Especially with the trees in full motion. It was
What's
fall.
with the snow? Have you driven through those
No, I didn't
areas?
No, it was bad today. The roads were...
Really?
The roads
Do they
were
plow
pretty
over
bad.
there wet? No.
I feel like those roads are so tight. How do you even move snow there?
No, some of the roads were pretty bad. I mean, 23 was fine, which is how it connects, how we pretty much get to Ottawa from here.
Sure.
And also it gets to Ottawa to Streeter. But 18 was horrible, and almost all of the towns, though, were fine.
Okay.
At 34, though, it was horrible. Like, the further you got down, the worse it got. It was insane.
That makes sense.
They did a pretty good job with the roads by us.
I saw when I was out, what was that, like last night? Or when was the snow? When did the snow fall heavy? Was that over the weekend?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that was on Saturday night.
Yeah,
that was
so
like
Saturday
the majority.
night, I went out and I was driving because I had to go pick up Lauren and that. And on our way back, we were tailing and we were going down 34, and he literally stopped. Like once he got to the Taco Bell, and in Plano, they just stop and turn around. Or like
because that's where the limits stop.
Yeah, I was. It just made me think. Like I was really curious. I wonder where those limits are and how far they expand.
Well, it's either
like,
state.
Is
it state highways? Like for Yorkville, a lot of the state highways are done by the state, not by Yorkville. That's why a lot of the main roads get done fast. 'Cause you got 71, you got 34, all that the state maintains.
So the state has. Is that depot on 47 the states or the cities?
The what?
The one by the new Dunkin' on the south side of town.
What are you talking?
The salt depot. And
that's a county.
That's a county one.
Yes.
Oh,
so then you got
that's
Kendall County. So then you got unincorporated roads, and then
that's what I was saying.
Your
so
county truck service.
Who's going out into the middle of
so like by the
Illinois to
Mizzouks, a lot of those are either going to be state or county.
Yeah.
So who hires like snow plowers? Like the people with just like Ford F-150s that have...
Well, it depends. You can have you can be a private snowplower. I mean, you could have your city municipalities.
Yeah, but
they
who
just
exactly
hire
pays
workers.
you? Who pays you if you're a private?
Wow.
Like
your clients. I mean, you either get contracts with businesses, you get contracts with homeowners, and then
oh
they just
well,
pay you.
okay, yeah, specific companies. But I'm talking about the ones that do stuff on the roads.
Those are city.
Those are city owned.
City those are city or state or county plows. So that's who pays for it.
What are we drinking on here today, Jake?
Some El Mirador Michelot. It's a sweet, clean, and sugary with notes of caramel, apple, and toffee.
Yeah, upon first
I
sips of this
definitely
roast,
taste that. I actually taste that apple a little bit, actually.
I
surprisingly.
was going to say I taste the toffee. This coffee is very, very interesting. It's the most Like for a dark roast that we've had on the show thus far, it's the most unique flavor profile.
Yeah, it's definitely nothing like.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I will, for any of
I
our
actually
listeners,
enjoy
I
it.
will tell you one thing just to save some time. Don't ever go with general insurance. They're awful. With general insurance, I suggest switching right now.
Why is that, Ethan?
Well, one, it's too large of a company that unless you want to be on the phone for hours to even try to get a hold of a customer service rep and then have numbers that they end up hanging up on you. That's the thing. That's why I like small companies. People are always about the cheapest price. Or you see like on Snapchat, you see that company that's advertising like, oh, we could knock these rates in half and all. You know
yeah,
how you
yeah,
keep
yeah.
seeing that?
And you're like,
okay, but what's really in
you're
that
sacrificing
policy? And then
things.
you're like, okay, well, what happens when you do a claim? Like, it's just people don't ever. I don't know. I think that's why I
People might
love.
not even understand that, like, to get to that point, you have to become so boutique. Like these apps and stuff are just creating boutiques. That
Right,
are
or
really
they'll
just
give you an
signing into a
estimate.
bigger
You know,
company.
even the first month, these insurance companies will let you sign on this cheap premium, and then they go through your auto record and all this stuff, and all of a sudden there's a change. You know, a lot of times it doesn't get past to that, but still, you have to have perfect records and things like that. And again, look at your coverage. Just because you have minimum coverages, for example, the vehicle that just hit us this week, they only had $20,000 in property damage coverage.
That's
'Kay.
insane.
How much did it do?
Right? Well, they have $20,000 and they're driving a $45,000 car. Does that make sense?
Not even.
No.
How's that even? Yeah, you can't.
Unless
Well,
the,
their
unless the
coverages-
devalue
their
of the car
coverages-
is at that point.
Their coverages is fine for their car, but if they hit anyone else, property damage. So let's say that person runs into a home on accident. Now and that thing, if those total fees added up to more than $20,000,
You're fucked.
then that's all they're going to cover. For example, now we're waiting. We have this rental car. It's costing us $300 every single day. Right. Well, now my vehicle to fit what its value is right now is about $19,500. Right. Well, they only have $20,000 of coverage. So now they got that rental car. They got the vehicle that they hit of mine that they should be repairing. Right. And now they also have the towing fees. Then they add on adjuster fees. All that everything for that claim has to fit into $20,000.
Right.
Okay. There's not enough money to go around there. I mean, if you hit a Mercedes that's over $100,000 on accident in your little Beamer Honda,
20,000's barely going to cover.
oh,
it.
you'll be lucky.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
That's going to cover the front bumper. That's it.
people don't realize much. I mean, insurance is good if you have the right policies in place and you're protecting everything. But example, for general liability policy, right? Let's say something happens to. I mean, you just have to know what your policies are. Contact your insurance agents. Make sure you really have the coverage and know
Get
what
the
you're
ins
paying
and
for.
outs.
You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of the times people even waste money for coverages that don't even matter or aren't even good. Like, you know, people just look at the number, the price they're paying when that insurance is there to cover the assets or the liabilities you have out there. And that's something huge that people don't realize. Or you
Sure.
got people that aren't insured.
That's
Sure.
also true.
Insurance is one of the craziest industries when you think about it. I mean, it's literally like
And when you
$4.2 trillion. Like just in
Is
general,
that
the
the market cap
insurance
of the industry?
market cap of the industry in America is $4.2 trillion.
I mean, insurance companies don't. I mean, it's just yeah.
But it's just all different aspects of insurance, including business.
Yeah, that's
Because you have to understand, like big corporations, their insurance is huge.
I mean, insurance is our biggest expense, and I have a small business. I mean, we pay over. It's over just for the insurance for 3 of them is like over $5,000 a month. You know what I'm
What?
saying? Yeah,
That's insane.
you got to pay. You know, you have general liability, sex and molestation abuse. You have general liability that covers the property and incidentals with outside and around the vehicles.
Do you have any umbrellas?
Yeah, there are certain ones that cover like lifts and certain things like that. You have your commercial auto insurance. You're going to cover your auto. Then you have different liabilities. Then you have your general. Then you have your workman's comp, which workman's comp you're paying per employee. And think of it, a lot of small businesses, there's ones that will fail if they have one employee do one workman's comp case. Well, those rates, let's say for example, in a restaurant business, you get a claim, it's going out. Well, now your rates are going up 5 times. So let's paying $1,000 a month. Now you put in a claim. Well, now your workman's comp every month just went up to $5,000. A business that's only making $20,000 plus, you know, maybe $4,000 in profit, you don't have money to pay for that extra $5,000. So your business is kaput.
And
You
then
know,
when you think about
Goodbye.
all the different policies that have been put into small businesses,
No, it's impressive. Like if there are small businesses out there that are staying afloat year after year and they're not doing any due diligence and not taking care of themselves,
let's see,
it's
dude,
impressive.
many businesses can make it for a long time, before getting in trouble, let's say with taxes and yada yada, right? There's so many things that businesses can make and they're not looking forward to. They just want to run. Instead, you need to put these systems in place from the start so you're covering yourself in your future. I mean, many businesses, like if you're still up and running, like a lot of small startup businesses, right? A lot of them end up in crazy overhead and a lot of them end up bankrupt. Like you have to really know your stuff. Too many people get into businesses that shouldn't be in businesses as well.
Right.
You know, it's a
Agreed.
completely different responsibility. It is you giving up your Monday through Sunday.
And
It
that
is you being willing to sacrifice your family and the additional time. If you
100%.
can't do that, I mean, sure, your business could operate, right? And you get those systems in place. So, like, let's say you're an owner, eventually you get the systems in place so you can walk away and you're not able to do that. But in general, I'm just saying your business has to be able to run and someone has to be available from Monday through Sunday, you know, and those stresses are more important than a lot of people like to value, right? Like your business is more important than a lot of things in order for it to keep going. So,
It's all just the mindset, honestly. It's
Truly.
really just like if you think that you will not succeed with your business, then you won't succeed because you're
Even
telling
with
yourself
taxes,
It's
that.
really
bro.
interesting you say that because most of the colleges now, if you go to school for entrepreneurship at them, what you study is this. A lot of schools have succumbed to this philosophy called the entrepreneurial DNA, or like it's this mindset or mentalities that you need to develop. And if you develop those mindsets and mentalities, then you can learn business and become that. And I think like you did that in your specifically when we're talking about me and Jake are working on putting together some marketing and digital content creation, and I've been having so much fun working on this
Me
directing
too.
project and this mini short series. But really, when I look back, you had all of those things that the school tries to teach through those entrepreneurial
it's-
programs. You had that through your younger years,
Dude,
because you
when
were
you
just printing the
experience.
DNA through
Even-
experience.
bro.
Yes.
When I look back to my high school entrepreneurship class, right? I only took one. The things that they considered in part of a business curriculum as an entrepreneur and these
What did
things,
they start you at? With?
I mean, they just make you not look. I mean, teachers and schooling needs to develop in the things you're interested in. If someone says they're interested in business and they're just saying, I'm going to go to school to go to business. If you don't go into a business beforehand, understand those
shadow
systems before
someone.
you go, right, in the thing where you want to see yourself. Everyone just says a generalized thing. We've talked about this many times. That is our dog, Baron. He's just banging the floor.
Oh yeah, he's scratching his neck, and yeah, we were shooting the basement, so he's just really loud.
Yeah, he is.
Oh.
But you know what? I mean, there's just so many things. If you're going to go into business or whatever field you're going to, go and get that live experience before you go. You know, you
100%.
have to get. I mean,
1,000%.
Here's the way you do this. Here's how you book that scenario, right? Here's how to go from I want to shadow to I'm going to shadow. There's a couple ways. You can go in person, find the person you want to if they're in your local community, and show them. Show them you're eager and present the value of I will give you my time in exchange that you teach me and can give me your mentorship, and you really invest in them because they'll invest in you. Or if they're far away
and
or
you
it's
also have to
remote,
know those mentors.
you need to send a booking email. And the booking email just needs to be written in a way that's functional and shows that you're at an educational stage. You know, write some key context words you can use. Informational interviews or cognitive growth interview. You know, just try and really get their attention. Make a really catchy title, but make sure they understand you're at an educational stage. Because sometimes when you're transparent and open about that, people are more excited. People want to share what they have.
Yeah, and you have to also be in a certain state of mind, knowing. I mean, that's why kids don't grow up fast enough. You have to be in a mind to also know that those mentors that you're having or those guidances are good knowledge, knowing that they're there for the right reason. A lot of people that surround themselves, they're not there for their best interests at all. You know what I'm saying?
Truly.
And you realize that the hard way a lot of the times. So,
And
I mean,
think
it's just being
it's
conscious.
The social media has made us lose sight of embodying who we want to be, and so then we spend so much time in this idle state where we hang out with people that we don't want to be.
I mean, one of the big things that's helped me too, I think this week was just starting by first hour of the day, don't go on your phone. Can you do it? I purposely don't plug in my phone at night so it doesn't
That's a good
so then it's
challenge.
dead in the morning, and it's going to take usually, it takes 15 minutes and stuff to even turn on by then. That delays it, right? But then you void out that stuff, come to peace. Your phone doesn't always have to be there, but that allowed me to get the things I needed to get done right away in the morning done. right? I'm not procrastinating on my phone, and now this thing that could have taken me 15 minutes is now taking me an hour because I'm on my phone diddly-daddling and going all over there, First hour of the day, don't go on your phone. Set up what you want to do and accomplish in that day, and you get that done first. That way you have a clear head, your mind's not focused. And then look at your phone as all those people that are texting you, emails, phone calls.
Notifications on all social
That
media.
stuff you respond to on your time, right?
Right.
It's a little bit different. Sure, there's certain situations where you have to be available and there's different hours. But now as your businesses grow, you start to be able to delegate those responsibilities off to other people, right? So then you're going to start to my main thing right now is focusing on working on the things that are $600 an hour things, right? I don't want to be doing the work that's $60 an hour work, right? And that's, doing bookkeeping, answering phones, right? All this minimal stuff, dealing with insurance, like in my company, right? All that stuff is wasting my time from building the vision. You have to be in a concept with your business that you're always innovating, you're always getting new clients, you're always growing, And if you try to do that before having the systems in place, and that's why I'm willing to kind of slow down with my businesses to make sure I'm hiring the right teams. Because for what I have planned this year, it
requires the right people.
Yes. And it costs a lot of money.
It does.
But you have to
so
understand.
if you're going to take that risk, why not take the time to invest in it?
Right. Because what am I going to do? Am I going to wait?
System,
Am I going to wait
the
3?
Vision.
Yeah, 100%. Am I going to wait 3 years and then decide to add all these teams? No. Why don't I just start it now? I'm going to have to figure it out one way or another. The company's still going to make the margins.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's going to be able
That's all that matters.
I'm going to be able to do the $600 work 24 hours a day instead of me doing the $600 an hour work
At
incrementally
night, when you're
way at night when I'm
cutting
dealing with
out
all
your sleep.
Exactly. So, just start focusing and really figuring out what you truly want and where you need to be, and then understanding that if your mind is not capable of doing it and you can't make that hard decision to switch, you're not in the right field, I don't think. Or you've got to really train your brain to switch around.
Here's something that I have that's an interesting question. What if I, as a person, am like, hey, I want to be a Wall Street broker in today's age? What would you guys say? Would it be good advice?
Go kiss up.
Yeah, I would.
To
what become a Wall Street broker today? Are you
in today's market?
Really, truly. Did you guys? We've all been talking at breakfasts about what was happening with GameStop. This was instrumental.
It is insane.
Quite insane, and really, what it comes down to is shorting. It's what it comes down to is
explain
shorting.
the concept of shorting to someone that may not know exactly what that is.
All right, so when we play the stock market, we could play it one of two ways. The long game, which is where you say, company ABC, I'm going to put $100,000 in, and I'm hoping
in 10 years
and watching over 5, maybe 10 years,
whatever.
I'll start to make margins and returns that are really good. Or there's another method that is called shorting, which is basically betting on the downturns of the market in the short term, and using that to basically make out in micro percentages. So what happens is these hedge funds who have tons and tons and tons of money, resources, financial accountants, brilliant mathematicians, they get ahead and they use this old school formulaic style of market watching, and they are able to make out big in billions and billions of dollars. Well, Reddit and social media, which has been a growing thing, has really been interesting in seeing how the SEC and all of their rules are really one-sided. Because now all of these common people are coming together and saying, well, how come all these hedge funds get to come together at these meetings and discuss how they're all going to short together and which direction the money goes? But if we were to do something like that, how would that go? So they did it with GameStop. All the hedge funds, specifically Melvin Cap. Melvin Cap lost I think it's somewhere a range of over $3 billion off the shorting that happened with GameStop, and they had to get bailed out by
and AMC.
other firms, other hedge funds.
AMC. I actually had 3 people text me, should I invest in AMC?
That's so funny.
No,
so
you should not,
serious.
Especially now.
And they just dropped.
You know
it was at
they froze
$18.
it. So what happened, right?
Yeah.
The shorting thing went berserk, and then all of a sudden, that page on Reddit has 5 million followers now, and all of these people were making out great dividends. So what happens though? They're using small-time brokerage apps. Well, who is the real customer of these brokerage apps? The hedge funds, because they want the data of the users.
And this is Robinhood, right?
And I'm specifically talking about Robinhood, who currently actually, I saw it here. I wonder if I have it pulled up still. Robinhood there's a huge amount of money that they're having to pay back. It's somewhere it's $3 billion. Robinhood was asked to pay $3 billion to cover the risk of the volatility from the GameStop situation. But
That's
here's the thing
insane.
is, it's the SEC and all these fucking hedge funds trying to put the blame on the young guy, Robinhood. But really, this is fucked all the way at the highest level.
Well, I mean, bro,
Seriously.
everything
Why the
everything in
hedge
the
fu-
United States is fucked from the top to the bottom. Simply. I mean, nothing is. If you just look at, I mean, even with all of the with your school, I mean, they just freaking hacked up the storm.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about
Literally last
this-
Thursday evening going into Friday at my university, which is Baldwin Wallace University.
Cleveland, Ohio.
in
Well,
Cle-
Berea,
in
Ohio.
Berea, Ohio. We're getting messages and text alerts. Ethan was getting them, not me even. And apparently there was a mass hacking at our university and institution, and literally they had to shut down. They powered all the electronics, shut all the Wi-Fi, all the teachers' computers had to come in and be scrubbed. All this stuff that is still currently going on, and I still don't have access to Blackboard, so all of our classes have been postponed. Everything is postponed. There's literally, I heard from one of my friends actually who's actually on campus. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, apparently it's like this big ordeal, and now the fucking FBI is going to get involved or something. And I'm like, this is interesting because this is not the first time we're seeing it. And the crazy thing is whose
Do you think it's
interest is it to hack a D3 college institution?
Do you think this is going to be a thing that's going to happen more often in the future?
100%. Probably on a
Seriously.
daily basis.
What I
Literally-
wonder is how many Division I schools have this happen?
Yeah, right. And,
Well,
and
But they
You have
might
to
have other
understand.
people actually, they
you
may
have
actually
to have
have
people
staff.
seeing. You have to have people looking for it, though.
Yeah.
You have to have
so a bigger
anti-
schools probably have more
Security.
resources, you think,
Yeah.
to outsource to make sure that their networks are safe. But here's the thing is, if the hack got through and into our Blackboard's the largest network for online database for colleges around the United States. Like, what if the hack is inside the Blackboard software system? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what if that went bigger? But I have no idea how that works or how that really functions and plays. It was in our network, and maybe it's only just breached in there.
The thing is to realize is that in this day and age, what really holds power is data. Who has the most data has the power.
Right.
And that's the reason why, because everything now that we do is online, when there's a certain company or when it's all in one single base, a single entity has all this data, think about how easy it is, theoretically at least, just hack into it. Sure, there's a lot of security and a lot of things to make sure that people don't, but the fact that it's in one single
I see
area.
what you're saying. It's like I don't have to look at 100 Rubik's Cubes. There's only one Rubik's Cube. It might be the hardest Rubik's Cube I'm ever going to have to solve, but at least there's only one. And once I do solve it, I have the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things, even from the largest companies out there, and the way they handle their staffing, like so much unnecessary old time 2000. There's no innovation. All these companies that are so big, they have all these large leaders in them that aren't innovating, and just because they have market dominance, and that's what makes it so cool about business. To think that if we can be the leaders of our generations, and eventually, you can come at a lot of these larger companies and see how flawed their systems are, systems of operation, systems of their relationships within clients, like so many things that you are just beyond
it boggles
shocked.
my mind how unaware people are.
No, I think people are aware.
Serious.
People don't care sometimes too. But there is people that are aware and they just don't care. There's also people that on the lower ends of businesses that are aware of the same problem, but then those in higher up positions aren't really wanting to make a change. A lot of it comes down to the dollar amount, okay? And what we're going to see is a lot of these older industries and larger companies, I strongly suggest and see is everyone's looking to save money. Everyone's looking to make things easier, more user-friendly, and all that kind of stuff. Ultimately, data, AI, and different software systems going to beat out everyone. So you either get with it or you try to keep the old staying around. We predict, we're working right now for the future. Everything we do in our lives, all these companies.
The flight or the, what is it? It's a fight or flight mentality.
Yeah. I mean, we're working towards the future right now. If we can guide our energy to be a humanistic, like society and all, which it can be there, right? If everyone was working towards the same vision. And if you had all these people instead working towards something, eventually we have all these people that are just working to things that are either pulling people back. And, the guys that are trying to stay the same and keep the systems the same, I think should be out of their current positions. You know what I'm saying? You have to be innovating, right? There's so many things to look forward to. We just try to start something new and we don't look at what that will add up to in the future. You know what I'm saying? Even just with like these companies that will roll out these big things, and they don't care any of what the impact is later down the road as long as they're getting money in their pocket.
Right. Yeah, it's that short-term gratification exchange for the connection to humanity, that connection to others, and really I think that's one thing that
I wish all phones, phones are a good thing, but
here's the thing that I was actually asking Chad on one of the last podcasts. What world do you see that's a utopian world, not a dystopian world, in which we have all this technology?
You're going to have to go into deeper detail. Utopian, dystopian.
No.
Right.
So, like a world that is very prosperous and living off of peace, and yet we still have...
Can you imagine a world where all right, try and imagine the perfect world in your mind right now. Like the most utopian society. Everyone across all the globes is all connected and they all love each other. Do you see that world, including technology? Do you see a world where technology and perfect unity can coexist?
The way that it's growing exponentially at this rate?
No, I think you guys are missing. I think you guys are missing the big point. It's the people that are in control and power that misguide a lot of this.
I
think if we can get those people out, I think there is hope. I think if we can create a system and a media outpouring and a media, just a change in the interactions that we have with people and really show that this impact of realizing the good things that happen every day outweigh the bad things. I think if we can change that and visualize that and get it just in the hands of people just as they see all the bad stuff and start to see that there is growth and we get self-promoting for good, I think there is hope. Do I think there's going to be challenges along the way to that? Yes. But do I think it's very possible? Yes. And I still think there's always going to be bad people, of course, and there's going to be people that are going to bring it down. But ultimately, there's a lot more good in people if you can bring out their true intentions. And that's just being vulnerable in the moment. And a lot of people just having to come self-realizations of who they are. I think a lot of it is just impacted by the people that are in power and in control. And that's what we need to work towards. The people of this generation need to see these things, see these issues that bother them and feel there's no change and start working towards that change. You are the future. You are the new. You are the bold. Imagine if you can be the biggest leader in your generation. Eventually down the road, those leaders that are in there, they're going to die off. You know what I'm saying? You be the new change.
I feel like the only way that we're able to do that is if we stop this era of talking through technology and just talking person to person. The more true human connection that we can have as a species, I think will get us to that humanistic society that we all should envision, honestly.
Yeah.
I think my biggest challenge that I see with technology and moving forward is I really think that being humanistic and doing that requires living, breathing, and experiencing colors
and
the potential of the world.
Yep.
And it's so hard to do those things through technology, through an LED screen.
Because you're seeing
you're not doing all of those. You're not living, breathing, and experiencing in the color and the potential. It's not the same kinetic experience as when your hands, body, and all your senses equally are embraced in the real world.
So now the question is, how do we? Because again, to do that, this is where we're thinking. We see this future of what we're wanting, right? Which is great. And then we talk about how we were just saying that the people that are old are trying to stay with the old and not change. Okay, it's common. It's very clear that technology is here and technology is here to stay. Unless we have some crazy cyber war, I don't even know. But for right now, it's in our present moment of what we can see in the future. It's here to stay. So now the question is, instead of that and understand that technology is bad. Well, how do we incorporate this large good movement of human interaction and connection within these apps.
Well,
Right, and within these social media platforms.
Mhm.
And I think a large point of that, too, is connecting people in real life. COVID, I mean, has just changed things substantially. And I think it'll clear up, hopefully, in the next few years. I think there'll still be regulations. But we need to get together again. We need to connect. I mean, how
couldn't
many
agree
people,
more.
do you even know your neighbor across the street? Like, I don't even know my
Literally.
neighbor across the street, or
Nope.
to the right, or to the left,
not at all.
Everyone's just living in their world. And imagine, we're so small. If we start
We
connecting and
gained
caring.
so much access through technology, but yet we've gone so far away from each
See,
other.
Well, the
I
thing
think
is-
for me, it wasn't ever like that. Like growing up, I was the person that well, not even that. Growing up, I was the person that made sure I was making human connection. Like if there was an old lady next door, I felt bad or acted like she was my grandma and I would care for her the same way, right? It's like even if it's snowing and that, I'm going to go do that for you thing. Or I'm that person that if someone needs help carrying in groceries, you're going to go help and lend a hand. We're people. You know what I'm saying? Like so many people don't think of those little situations. Instead, in this day and age, people are shocked if you're outpouringly nice. Like
Yeah.
that should be normal.
It's a rarity nowadays, it seems like.
Yeah, no, I do notice that. I feel like so many of these like simple
Gestures.
gestures and character traits that you have, you literally see every second of your day. Like they're always, it's like your vision board is those character traits, and like everything you do in your businesses, I can see it from the outside perspective. And I think once you start vlogging, people are gonna see that. Like those intentions.
Even
Absolutely.
just fighting with the insurance companies all day because with our business, I mean these
You're
companies
trying to
their
save them
vis-
money. That's the funny thing. You're
Well,
like,
yeah, see that's the truth too. We're here to help them and save them, but then because they're so corrupt and bad, they don't see that. So it just ruined it. They spend I could save some of these companies millions upon millions and millions and millions of dollars. Right? Part of that is their staffing of millions of dollars of salaries that aren't needed because they don't even give people the resources to even
job
excel in their
effective.
roles.
Yep.
Or do you know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
It's a
Oh my
waste of
gosh.
money completely, and it's just it's people not realizing this and people staying old. But I think what's also important to take away from that would be just knowing that like people again aren't out for I don't even know what I was trying to say there, but people aren't within those insurance companies that we deal with every day. I mean, there's patients that are dying. People are willing to just cover up, blatantly lie because it's too much work. Like the business I'm in, people are making decisions off financial reasons. It's really just financial reasons or a lack of care. And that's not right. We are humans. You got to treat everyone like they're your family and your brother. You don't have to keep a trust level of that, and you don't mean you have a block of regard, but you need to always wake up and be thankful for that current moment and see, how am I going to allow people to see who I truly am in this moment? Who is Ethan, and how would Ethan respond to this new person, right? When I'm meeting someone, I want them to see who I am.
one thing I wish I could see more of in our society is people trying to make an effort to show others how cooperation and capitalism can coexist. I'm so upset that the 80s and 90s gave a lens to business through the 2000s that it has to be cutthroat and competitive in a
Yep.
way that doesn't allow for any cooperation. And that's even across what I'm referring to here is when I see you working with your providers and your brokers, you guys aren't in the same business. You know what I mean?
You have a
why is there not even
conscience, they don't.
cooperation there? And that concept to me that businesses don't want to do that, or that this lens of our United States capitalism is really it's competitive and I'm closed off, when really we need to be competitive and cooperative, because at the end of the day, all growth means like all the levels are going to raise if everything else is raising. You know what I'm
Growth
saying?
is still growth, regardless of the rate.
Right, and that's the
Correct.
thing I keep saying to people. You got to realize, if you have a goal and an intention, people got to get down to the smallest thing. Until you do that smallest detail, you're not going to get anywhere. So many people instead like to ponder and think every reason why they can't. It's a hell of a lot better if you do that one little initiative to get a step further to reaching your goal, right? That's a whole lot of better than nothing. Right? So just take that little extra step and start working towards whatever your goals are, whatever your visions are, because that is a stepping stone there. Eventually it starts to build up. But too many people I tend to see, I believe that people's anxieties, disbelief in themselves, and then the challenge of the actual work and commitment that's needed in order to accomplish that are just three things that don't line up and for many people to even accomplish. And it's, again, this world will not change. It will keep going. It will go down if we don't get more people to step up. So the biggest thing for us and the biggest question that we should face is how do we connect more and more people to live in a more free-spirited world? And again,
In
people
person.
yeah, exactly. And people can have differences, That's important. But again, we're humans. That connection of understanding that we're all just happy to be here another day.
Right.
Happy to be alive, that we're living each day to the fullest that we possibly can and not consuming ourselves with things that don't matter to us. In the terms of life, specifically. Because when you look back at your life, are you really going to think, oh, look at all those amazing times I had looking at my phone or looking at my Mac? Oh, man, those are great times. When are you going
when you're on that deathbed and that dimethyltryptamine just clicks off inside of your brain as your final breath goes away, you're definitely going to have a flashback, and it's going to be so comprehensive and so extraordinary to the extent that you can't even imagine it, really. You're definitely in that moment going to hate it if every single one of those memories that comes off in a split second is on a phone.
What's funny is people, yeah, exactly. I mean,
imagine if you just went through your entire life, how people flash before their eyes, and it's just you looking at a phone the entire time.
That's exactly what
You were saying, like, what? Now we're predicting,
it.
there's people out there predicting that you might be staring at an electronic device for almost half of your lifetime now.
Well, 10 years ago, it was a fourth of your life. So in my opinion, I feel like that's
Is this data taking into consideration if the average rate of death in the United States increases past the current age range?
Yeah, you see, I don't know.
Because we always talk
it's
about
always
we
out
think
there.
we're going to live past
Right.
100. Are they taking these numbers based off everyone living at 80 right now and dying there normally off that average?
Probably.
They probably could do it
They
off.
would.
They probably did it off of like 80 years old or 70 to 80s. Because
Well, the
that was
average
like the average
lifespan's like
lifespan.
77, right, or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
So that's probably what they base it off of right now.
Yeah.
But again, think of those technologies, guys. If the world stops tomorrow, that living of 100 is not possible.
Seriously.
There's people that are innovating and working towards those things right now.
Do you realize how...
we build the future. It's how high can you set your mind?
Right.
And then how dedicated are you willing to be to that one initiative?
I feel like people just really focus in on things that are just distractions to them, because any human in general has an infinite appetite for distraction. It is built into our DNA.
How old are you if you were born in 94?
You are 27. Or no, 26. 26.
Can I tell you a story?
You would be turning
and
27.
Share someone that is in this world right now that is alive, that is 26. His name is Boyan Slat. And at 15 years old, just like you, he had so many envisions and dreams. And by the age of 18, he had created a concept to clean up the Pacific Ocean trash patch and got it patented and started a whole nonprofit and got some of the best scientists, some of the best data engineers, everything in the world. And now this product is out in the world and is cleaning up all of our oceans. And it's like crazy to see. Like, all right, here's what it is. At age 18, Boyan devised a concept which utilizes the natural ocean's forces and passively catches the concentrate ocean plastic, through which the theoretical cleanup time could be reduced from a millennia to mere years. They were saying this problem has gotten so bad it would take millenniums to clean it up. And in February 2013, he dropped out of his aerospace engineering studies at his college, and he started his ocean cleanup project.
And isn't that crazy to think?
That's amazing.
Like, even those things, you think you have to go to college. He dropped out, okay? When you look at Steve Jobs, you look at some of the
He
biggest...
led a team of 80 people at the age of 18, of engineers, scientists, data collection
Think of it. I mean, so many people, right? Like a mistake that I would think some people would have right now is, I don't have...
a dozen of scientific papers and multiple patents in order for this project to happen.
Yeah, but patents I think are stupid. So,
I don't think so personally.
I mean, I do. If you go to any other government, you can steal the same exact patent, go do it in any other country, and create it just a minimalistic sec better. I mean, it's great for like U.S. businesses that are maybe fighting over, but like in the general scheme, I think people look at patents like it's their end life saving.
If we're talking about patents for saving from an international perspective for IP theft, you're entirely correct.
Yeah, no, maybe
But
not domestic
sure.
in the United States. No,
as well.
Great in the domestic, in the United States. But again, that's something that can be used across countries. And things
he's
like,
using it everywhere.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So,
yeah,
but
for
here's
sure.
the thing that had to be crazy is This machine couldn't kill the natural ecosystem. They didn't want to pick up all the fish and kill them, but still, the plastic is all sorts of different shapes and sizes.
Right.
How are
And
they
so-
able? How is he able to do it?
It's this huge fucking like thing that bobs in the water and kind of has
Like
like
a
a
net?
synthetic net almost that can. But here's the thing: it has to be able to pick up microplastics, because what happens is as the sun beats on the plastics in the ocean, they start to decay and create literally smaller than glass, when glass shatters on the ground, microplastics, and the fish eat those and die. So we're killing our entire ocean ecosystem by just letting our stupid plastic and waste. But you know where most of it comes from? He figured out another issue. He figured out the ocean patch. The real issue comes from all the rivers. It comes from 5%. There's like hundreds of thousands of rivers in the world, and all of the trash that's in the ocean, he found out through studies, come from 5% of the rivers in the world. So he's now devised and created a secondary machine, which they're launching in round 2, that goes to those river systems that are going to connect to the ocean and cleans
Wow.
up and keeps the ecosystems living,
Yes.
but gets rid of all the
So
plastic.
the thing I think that's most admirable about this too is think of, you don't even have to start a for-profit business to make money. Okay, you could start a new
No,
world initiative.
I
Just
looked
wait,
at
just
his.
listen.
He makes.
Yes.
He made $200,000 last year.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If you have a non-for-profit, you can be fixing a world issue and still be making 6 or 7 figures on a salary. Okay, if you have a real thing, so many people are so greedy for money, but if you really want to make a real change, there's still ways to do it, and you be successful for your whole entire career.
And you actually do the things that you want to change. You
I
have
would
to,
love to have him
like
on the show.
Gandhi said, Mahatma
Yeah,
Gandhi.
that guy would be awesome for
He would,
sure.
he would definitely come
You know-
on. I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite quotes that reminds me is Mahatma Gandhi saying, "Be the change you wish to see in the world."
Mm.
And I absolutely love that quote, but I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like it's often misleading, because I feel like people focus on the wrong word. They focus on the word change. You know,
Yeah,
they
but-
hope for change, they pray for change, they wish that change were to happen. But in my opinion, I feel like the
What's the-
operative
what's the
word
most-
is to be the one to make the change. Because I feel like it's easy to see someone in need and feel like someone needs to do something about that. It's easy to see someone in need and say society has done a horrible job for treating that person badly. It's easy to see someone in need and just say that should be changed. But it takes a true person in order to be the one to step up, to be the one to make the change, and to be the one to make the world a better place. And that's exactly what Gandhi did.
Well, and I
True.
think
He
that's
decided,
important.
I am a singular person,
And I
that
shall
we
step up.
represent the entire country for our freedom.
And you're just as much of the problem if you're not willing to be the change.
Right.
You're just as much of a problem. There's no point in complaining. There's no point in, and so many people are worried about their opinion. That's why I don't really care, because I know ultimately people won't care about my opinion necessarily. I mean, you could be influencing people, sure, right? But truly start focusing on what people see you on as an outside figure, because what matters in your mind and what you're thinking in that moment doesn't matter. No one else cares. And this is something I struggle with every single day. You know what I'm saying? Part of that, and there's really no reason to blame other than that. I can make every
There's no
excuse in the
age
book.
Too small to start thinking about very interesting topics and concepts. Another thing I wanted to get across with the Boyan slant is he's been able to, if he stayed in his lane when he started, he knew what he wanted to do and he worked on that until it was done. But now his brand is just a Dutch inventor and entrepreneur who creates technological solutions to global problems. Do you see how he's grown outside of just the dude who fixed the ocean?
Right.
But
exactly.
if he
'Cause he
stayed
realized
in
the-
his lane and he worked hard at
Mhm.
first.
Yeah, he saw the vision.
And I think as young people, we sometimes we think if I go do this, that's the only thing I'll be doing forever. When really, sometimes if you stay in your lane and you work really hard at the thing that you're on, it will lead you to the bigger opportunities.
And see, a lot of people are
Exactly.
willing to make shortcuts to look good in the short term
Correct.
and not see, a lot of people are. It comes down to the dollar amount. A lot of people get too greedy. And, a lot of the times when you look in these businesses and these different corporations, or even in general, and people that have problems in their life, think of it, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't I do that? If there's a current problem here. No, there's not a problem. You've come to the realization of it. What processes are you implementing in order to get there, right? Think of it as your process in which you handle these situations or how you organize is really the true problem, not anything else. Your problem isn't the problem. The problem is the process.
Mm-hmm. You got that right. The process is the most important part of anything that you do.
That's
If people never focus on the process. I feel like in every single thing. I mean, I used to be in performing, and I feel like nowadays with all of this instant gratification that we receive all the time from technology.
I just want to really intersect real quick. If you want to be a performer, you better love practicing more.
Exactly. Because the process is everything in terms of performing. Everyone always wants the good result. Of course, because you want the big audience, you want all the applause and the thing. But if you're not going to put in the effort to perform and the process to make it how it should be performed, then it will never be the product and the result you want.
That's a beautiful sentiment. And I really want to talk about that idea of process and always staying up to date and catching up. And we've talked before a little bit on here about Neuralink. Well, we have a major update in their process of developing their product. Neuralink has actually put one of their chips that before the first trial was in pigs, right, to see if it was working, to see if they could just check to see if things were firing, and it worked for that. Now they're putting them in monkeys, and it's to help them play games, and they're using it to like help their mind play games and remember games so it can play the game for itself later.
And the result is?
I don't know if the monkeys so far, all they've really said and released and what I've heard about is that the tiny wires in the synapse are working. There's like a repetitive processing that's happening. Elon said that he's releasing footage like in the next month or two, coming months, for the company and what they've been doing. And then they also said from a humane perspective, because a lot of people worry about studying on animals, that the monkeys are not unhappy like that, which is a good sign that it's being healthy, but really, wow. I have no idea.
What do you
think?
It's
what's
it's
your
really
feeling to see the capabilities of where AI is going?
But here's the thing that I don't feel like is in the spotlight enough right now, and that's the future of what is computing at this moment in time. Because right now we have the traditional classical computers. That's like where your transistors come into play, and all of the computing and circuit boards are how your computer works right now. That's what's called a classical computer. But then there's this thing called quantum computing. And at an atomic level, quantum computing simulates nature pretty much through quantum mechanics, which is too much to explain through
crazy
high level math and computing. And therefore it could help us find new materials and
to build
build resources. It has so much potential to literally redo every single industry. But also though, there's the thing is that it's computed through an energy that can't be seen on any classical computer. It's through an energy source that is not even through electricity. It's through a new form of energy.
Is that from the element
through.
115? The newest element that they discovered?
I believe, I'm not 100% sure about that, but
what are they using to produce it? I wonder, to produce that energy source. That's a really, really, really interesting.
But also, though, did you know that concept. There was recently there's this YouTube video.
There's this mechanics to hypothetically take samples that NASA finds from other planets and try and synthesize it on a computer on our planet?
To a certain degree, because the thing is can data, the processing of data for these quantum computers is exponentially higher than what we're doing currently right now. The capabilities that computers can have is so much more powerful and so much able to compute things that we couldn't even imagine. But the thing is, though, is like recently there was this YouTube video that came out. A group of quantum computing experts, including scientists and company executives, wanted to raise ethical concerns about the technology's potential to create new materials.
What were the ethical concerns?
Well, it has the potential to create new materials for war and accelerate human DNA manipulation. Quantum computing is able to.
I don't even get how.
You have to understand is that DNA manipulation can be computed through quantum computing.
So it can produce things we could put into people's bodies.
Yes, this was a direct quote from This was a direct quote from the professor of physics at the University of California.
Can we get
Whenever we have a new computing power, there's the potential for benefit of humanity. But you can imagine ways that it would also hurt people. And while quantum computing is still in the early stages, it's important to begin to discuss the potential benefits and drawbacks. Because the thing is,
What university was he at?
University of California, Santa Barbara. And he's also the former chief scientist of quantum hardware at Google.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But
I just want to understand this concept I want to understand the energy source and how it connects to the principles
That
of
could
the
be
mathematics
another.
for the quantum mechanics. And then I really want to know and understand more, like, how are we going from a computer to synthesizing real life? Are you telling me this computer synthesizes matter?
to a certain degree, yes.
Like is this? I'm in my head when you say this, I'm sort of seeing like a computer that's also a 3D printer.
Okay, so the model, I guess, for quantum computation, it describes the computation in terms of a network of quantum logic gates.
Okay.
And this model can be, thought of as like an algebraic generalization of what we currently use.
Sure.
But since the circuit model obeys quantum mechanics, a quantum computer capable of efficiently running these circuits is believed to be physically realizable.
Wow.
And basically it's able to perform calculations based on the probability of an object's state before it is measured, instead of just ones and zeros, like binary code, like what we do. Which means they have the potential to process exponentially more data. A single state, oh man, it's
wow. This is a brilliant conversation.
but literally this video came out today. It's a call to action.
So yeah, so
because
they think it's going to be used for war.
It has the potential.
Oh, okay.
It has the potential, but here's the thing.
So this is similar to like when nuclear energy was discovered, and wasn't there an ethics call to action then for its atomic ability, like its ability?
Yes, because of the 2 nuclear bombs that we set off in Hiroshima.
Correct. Wow. So you're saying this is a new type of like nuclear warfare potentially? It could have the ethical capability.
Well, it's not necessarily nuclear, but it definitely we could use war very easily doing quantum computing. China is very much actually using that in their budgets recently now. For their war budgets, they are starting to use research
for quantum
quantum computing, as well as Russia as well.
Come on,
but
US.
then that means the US has to be.
Yes, to a certain degree, but
not as heavy.
But not as heavy, and that's the reason why we're so easily hackable as a country.
Yeah.
However, I know from extensive like listenings of military people and what they talk about and preach about, the technology and advancements that are happening in the closed doors military sector
We have no
is
idea about.
years above.
But you have to understand.
It's like, imagine they are 20 years ahead of us for technology. As we get the tech of today that's awesome, they had that 20 years ago.
But here's the thing. The reason why we aren't necessarily researching it in the government sector, because it's already so much in the private sector of the economy. You have to understand,
Correct. The US does make a lot of our
IBM,
discoveries
Google,
from private.
Microsoft, they are all racing to create the most reliable quantum computer ever. Whereas China is
Would this change phones and calling and any of that?
It would definitely revolutionize communications for sure. It would be able to transform the way that we
send
messages.
This.
It's
is
no longer
quantum
signals.
Computing AI.
It will,
to an extent, it has AI in it.
It could definitely revolutionize artificial intelligence and how
really
it's able to be
Here is,
processed.
could quantum mechanics and, let's say, the AI of Neuralink be implemented together so then we're putting quantum mechanics inside people's brains?
Ooh.
Do you see what I'm getting at?
Could that mechanics get down to a pill? So you were talking about the DNA. Could there be things that could alter the DNA instead of having to go in and change anything from a baby standpoint? Could you change your DNA over time just by taking a pill?
I don't think it works that way, but
I definitely
for all I
understand
know,
what we're getting at,
in
like,
50 years, we could honestly see something that simple.
Yeah.
For all we know, like
really
I
would
can't
love to
predict
have on
honestly.
An anti-aging specialist because
Yeah,
there's
we need to.
tons of really interesting medical advancements, and like even just like I'm so astonished and blown away, and I really love a lot of what's going on with the research in stem cell therapy for healing stuff, and literally like it will fix old ladies everything, like literally like ACLs, all sorts of tears, and it's really interesting to see like how our bodies are willing to respond and can take the interjections of someone else's cells. But that we'll have to have someone on because that's a topic that I'm just not learned on enough.
Yeah, it's definitely something that, again, it has the potential to be very incredible for society. It's going to revolutionize medicine. It's going to revolutionize.
This goes back to the thing Ethan said, whose hands are on it.
And also, what are their intentions? That is the most important thing. Is what are the people that are controlling this technology? What are their intentions?
Have you guys heard of vaccine hunters?
What are vaccine hunters?
So it's this new trend that's popping up around the United States where pharmacies who have the vaccine, if it defrosts after a certain period of time, it's no longer good. They have to throw it out. So there's people who are using social media and camping out at pharmacies in order to get expired vaccines, and then they can take it literally immediately that day and like not have to go through
that
the
stuff would
medical
not be just no. That's not right.
It's seriously a thing that's happening.
Yeah, I'm seeing actually something
It's
on it right
huge.
now.
There's all
These
sorts of
vaccine hunters are
articles.
getting their shots ahead of schedule by gaming
It's all
the
over
system.
TikTok. Literally, it's
From where?
blowing up.
Dude, yes, but what are your sources credibly? All that stuff would go into biohazard. I would not talk. I don't know.
No, it's
No, there's multiple. Look it up. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, but what sources? You can look up anything. Anything can pop up on the internet.
It's CNN covered it. The
Well,
Washington
CNN.
Post covered
UCLA
it.
Health.
It's on TikTok. UCLA Health covered
Where?
it.
Show me.
Here, I'll pull it up. Here, come look. Right here. All these articles about the vaccine hunting stuff. So here's one from CNN. These vaccine hunters are getting their shots ahead of the game in the system. Here's one. Health hunters providing COVID-19 vaccines to indigenous people. But here, look. Watch how the processing happens. This one had a TikTok, I believe, attached to it that showed the processing occurring. Here it is. All right, so on this TikTok, I don't know if you can hear it, but this girl's standing. She's been at this pharmacy all day waiting for those defrosted vaccines that have
I
gone
can't hear
bad.
you.
And what happens is if you stand in line all day and you wait, you can sign up and they'll give them out because they don't want them to go to waste. But people are
getting vaccines. You said they were taking them from the.
What are you not?
What didn't you get? It was a
No,
vaccine
they're
hunt.
getting vaccines, but they're not going. They're not sitting outside waiting for the garbages where they throw them out.
No, they
That's what you
wait.
just said.
Yeah, they wait before. So what happens is they defrost and they go back.
Right,
So
because
these
they're
people
just
stand
people waiting
outside.
online.
No, these people aren't the people that were going to normally.
They
get
just
it.
signed up. They signed up waiting for it. That's what it said.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not working. I think when you press the video, it cut out.
Vaccine hunting. All right, sorry, we had some technical difficulties after I played the video for Ethan to show him it. But what is going on there is not they're standing outside and waiting for the trash. They're waiting for ones that have gone bad, and then they're in like a standby auxiliary line, where if at the end of the day, instead of throwing them out, they're giving them.
But are those valid though? Like, are they still? Like, can you still take them and will they be effective?
I have no idea.
That's the thing. Like,
That's what I have no idea.
I
on.
personally don't feel like the risk would be worth it, honestly. Like, why take an expired vaccination?
No,
you know?
truly, I have no idea why you would want to do that. But
It's crazy what this vaccine, I feel like it turns people to a certain, like, it makes people think differently when they hear about this vaccine. Like, I feel like so many people would do anything to get it. Literally anything. They would pay substantial amounts of money to get it early or whatever. You know?
I was listening to Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura. They were talking this morning on their podcast, and they were saying that they even knew some people and like who were fucking skipping lines and paying money, and they're like, Bert was like, I'm not gonna do that shit, but
Yeah.
I do
mean,
know a lot of friends who are, but
No, I
which is
definitely.
crazy.
I personally I just want to wait it out just a little bit longer, and I'm gonna have to anyway because I'm not
right.
I'm not and gonna be in the first phase or maybe even the second phase.
You
So-
want to hear something else that's really interesting that I heard going on right now is Facebook is actually going to start rolling out a thing where Apple in the update 14.5 was going to make it so every app that uses your like data and is tracking you, Apple will warn you ahead of time with a message and make you have to say I accept or trust to let them do it every time you like open something, I believe.
Yeah.
Or like
They're
however
starting
you
to
set
do
the
that more.
parameters.
Like,
Yeah, well, Facebook, to try and combat it, they're saying, oh, we're going to build this internally now so all of our users can know. So then it's like not something that they're trying to, I think, from my
No, they're
perspective, they're trying to
they're trying
jump
to
on it before Apple. So then people will be like,
Oh,
well,
yeah,
Apple's
absolutely.
old to this trend. Facebook's already telling me, and then I already accept it. It's cool. which is really interesting.
It's going to be a very interesting battle. Apple's been doing a lot of battles specifically with a lot of different companies. I mean, we saw that this past summer with Fortnite.
Right.
I mean, you saw how they wanted to have their own. They wanted to, like, Fortnite wanted to continue using their own currency system, but the thing is Apple was very strict about, no, you need to use our payment system. You can't use your own personal payment system for your like cosmetics or whatever. You have to use it through our system. And Fortnite didn't like that because they were like, no, we have this amazing system that we use. Why would we need to use your system? And so that's the reason why eventually Apple kicked them off.
Yeah.
It's just interesting because they're like, for example, like when I go on Safari, like I can see my privacy report. I can see that in the last 7 days, Safari has prevented 213 trackers from profiling me. 213. And then you can go inside and see every single website that tried to profile you and how many trackers were on you at a certain point.
How many websites? Is it pretty much like every website?
Pretty much every website. Like I was on Business Insider. I had 88 trackers from all of these
So what are some of
people.
those trackers? Like, do we know what those can be defined as?
Yeah, Twitter is on one of them. AdForm is on one of them. Amazon ad system is also on one of them. BidSwitch, Bing. You have to understand all these people are paying for ad time on that screen that I'm looking at.
Got it. And so then it's showing you that they're tracking you technically.
They're tracking you technically because they're using your specific GPS location to then say, oh, I'm going to put an app onto your thing because you one time searched for this thing that was resembling what I am now giving to you.
Surely.
You know? And it also says 50%, websites that contracted trackers, 58%. And then you can just go strictly to the trackers, not hackers. That's a whole different ball game. I mean, what we were talking about earlier.
And we were talking about that earlier. It's like, I do see us entering a new millennia of hacking and a new millennia of consistency in hacking.
I think I saw on Joe Rogan's podcast with Tristan Harris that they're creating their own, Apple's creating their own search engine.
Really?
Yeah. So I wonder what that's pretty much what Safari is trying to go into in the direction. I mean, it's so much different the way that Safari operates compared to Google Chrome.
I used to never use Safari until recently.
Yeah, because Google Chrome, I mean, they keep all your data. But the thing is, the one thing at least that I respect from Google is that they accept the fact that they do take all your data, but they say, but why wouldn't you want that? Because we're trying to give you the best experience possible.
Right, and Facebook's using that same approach in this new, in their new method. They're like, we're gonna try and jump on the trend before Apple, so that way you think this is what you should do instead of.
Everyone's trying to play the game. Everyone's trying to stay on top. Right. Still trying to stay in the top 5 as quickly as much as possible. Do
you think users, if let's say Facebook stopped ad tracking altogether, do you think Facebook would not be as popular as it is right now? Do you think people would click off? They'd be like, I don't want to be on this anymore.
To be honest, man, I feel like Facebook at its heyday was when it was just starting to do that. Like when it was innocent enough to where like the stuff that it was giving you ads was like on the sides.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It's insane how much Facebook has changed over time. But anyways, I feel like right when they put in the like button, I feel like that, in my opinion, was the true peak of Facebook. And when they started adding like buttons and all these different things to collect data and get you more and more there, that's when I feel like they went to a different company, in my opinion. Because if you see from 2009 to 2011, the amount of depression rates and anxiety rates and suicide rates for teenagers went up extremely within those 2 years, 2009 to 2011. Because of the insane amount of technology that was being implemented. I mean, you have to understand, like, that's when you and we got our technology at that young age. I mean, we were introduced at middle school. At least I was. I mean, I got like an iPod Touch. That was like
I was in 6th grade, I think, when I got my first phone.
And I was in 7th grade.
It was like a Walmart budget semi-digital iPhone. It was like, oh, it's got an LED display screen, but it can really only call text and like take a photo.
I had a
really
Motorola Razor, if that's a throwback to anyone.
Oh, wow.
A Motorola Razor. And
you
then
had that.
I had that. And now that's in a museum. That is in a museum. and I had that phone
In your
13.
hands.
I had that phone 9 years ago, and I had that phone in my hands, and now it's in a museum. That is how quick technology is progressing. When you think about like the difference between like a car 10 years, like in like 1930 to 1940, there wasn't like a lot of change. But when you look at Tesla in 2010 to now Tesla in 2020,
Or even just from 18 to now.
18 to now, it's
Like,
like well,
They were almost going to go bankrupt.
and now they're like one of the most prosperous
They're
companies.
flourishing to a really high degree. But I found something that was interesting is they're not making any money from the manufacturing of the cars, actually. They make most of their profits are from credit lining and like hype sales, which is not healthy
absolutely.
and sustainable in the long term, which will be interesting to see how they try and convert away from a credit system, making them rely and stay alive.
Well,
to-
yeah, it's
And I think
it's one obvious answer, which is they need to make an affordable product. And that's the reason why I'm very interested in this new software that's being developed called Ai, which is pretty much the headline is autonomous driving for Android, like kind of thing, like the Android version of it. Whereas like Tesla's like the Apple version, where it's all one integrated system that you buy with the car. Ai is an open source software that you can add into to multiple different types of cars. It doesn't have to be electric. It can be, but it can be it can be programmed to be specific to what you want with your car.
that's really interesting because I think that could become
And it
super
also-
applicable in other sectors that are using different types of motorized vehicles.
Yeah, the only difference though is that Commodore Ai, they're like a level 3 in terms of autonomous, whereas you have, lane centering, they're keeping, you're keeping within the lane and stuff like that, but you still have to
How many
control
levels are there of?
There's level 5 is Tesla, what they're
Okay.
trying to achieve, which is you don't need to touch the vehicle, you don't need to touch the
need to do
steering steel,
anything.
you don't need to touch the foot pedal or anything. It does itself completely. But the thing is there's, I don't know, I feel like that gets away from it. Technology is now responsible for our lives, whereas Commodore Ai, it still is the human's responsibility to drive the car, but it helps you as much as possible, but it keeps you still responsible for the car that you own. And I feel like just in terms of liability, I feel like that's just a so much better way of going about, because when you have to rely on technology to literally make sure no one dies, there could be a few things that go wrong.
No, literally, that's what my thinking was.
This is
is like,
software. Software is controlling your life
Yes.
now in terms of
if
autonomous
these software
vehicles.
companies have to get regulated through like the Cars Administration Regulation System of the United States, what happens when we start having bootleggers just producing their own AI car features, and then all of a sudden this car that all the rest of them are following, legalized systems of AI computed cars, but then there's a bootleg one on the market.
Yeah, exactly. And you can say the same thing about CRISPR gene editing. It is so easy now to do.
There will be a black market, just like organs. You know how there's like a black market for stolen organs?
stolen what?
Like on the dark web, you can buy organs and stuff.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things you can buy.
Yeah, so like it's
You can,
that same concept. I didn't even think about that. What if we have Fermi labs or small time labs that are starting to produce fucking bootleg genetic synthetic DNA codes? That would be really interesting.
yeah,
And selling those.
and what exactly are their intentions? Like, see,
Right.
that's the thing, is like we see all this amazing technology, but I feel like we never look at what is the intention of the people creating this product. What are they trying to achieve?
Sure. What if we deep
And I'm
dive
not s-
into them? What is their intention?
Yeah, exactly. And again, like, I feel like a majority of these technology companies, they don't necessarily they didn't think about these things from like, I want to control the world. They had a simple intention with the majority of these things, but I feel like they didn't think about the humanistic side of it. In the long term, what it will do to us in the long term. They only thought in the short term.
They thought this will be amazing. This is it now.
And then they were like, oh, how are we going to monetize this company? Oh, I'll just put in these ads. But they didn't think about what will this do to humans. They just thought, oh, this will give us money right now, so that's good. But they didn't think about the lasting impact that this would have 10 to 20 years down the line. And
That's a brilliant way to wrap us up here. We're just breaching over that hour mark. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. This has been our episode 10. We have a really exciting week. Jake, do you want to share what everyone should be excited for this Friday?
Oh, yes. This Friday, my dad, who is the principal scientist at Procter & Gamble, will be on the podcast for a deep interview into not only himself, but the state of the world, and I am more than excited.
Yep. That'll be an exciting one. So check us out on social media. We'll be posting all sorts of exciting content across all of our platforms. You can find us at a Humanistic Perspective Podcast. We really thank you if you made it this far to the end. If you did, give us a comment. Say you're liking the show. We love you. Have a great day. You're beautiful. Work hard, and let's have a great week. Happy Monday. Bye.